isn't always just about the fights, but the significance to how the characters change because of that fight, but I can understand why people don't like this scene. Anyway, once Zero is beaten, all 6 Lacrima are destroyed at once, saving Cait Shelter from Nirvana. You might be asking, what about Jellal's Lacrima, but Wendy took that one for herself. Everything just seems hunky-dory now. The Sace are beaten, one of the Sace members and Jellal are on the good side now and helped beat Nirvana. Cait Shelter is safe, but wait! Consequences can still be a bitch sometimes. When the entire gang tries to leave, they find themselves in an enchantment like Freed's, but this time made by the Custody Enforcement Unit of the Magic Council, led by a man named Lahar. They came to arrest the Irrational and Sace members after the guilds were done beating them, and more importantly, Jellal. Adai happily goes with the guards, wanting to do his time and come back out a free man later on, and Jellal is willing to do the same when, of all people, Natsu shouts out against it. Urza was going to make some kind of move herself, but right before she does anything, Natsu and the others speak out. He knows Urza will be incredibly shook up about this and doesn't want to see her cry like Jellal made her do back at the tower, so he reasons Jellal has to stay for Urza's sake. And they probably would have won if they wanted, but Urza puts a stop to it. She, of all people, knows Jellal has many crimes to pay for, and even if it would make her much happier to let him stay and grow to be the person he was before Ultir interfered, her moral code won't allow her to let a criminal who infiltrated the Magic Council go free without repercussions. It hurts her on the inside to do it since she's told she'll never see Jellal again, the equivalent of losing another friend, but she knows it's the right thing for her to do. The gang calms down and lets the guards escort Jellal away. But in the moment before he leaves, Jellal remembers who Urza is because of her scarlet hair that he used to give her last name. A bitter end to the reunion of Urza and Jellal, but a powerful one, and this scene highlights all of Urza's best attributes, her strength, her fortitude, and her courage. If I wanted to tell people Urza's character in one scene, this would be the best possible one. The next day, with all the unpleasantries out of the way, the crew tries to cheer up by having a party at Cait Shelter with its members, but the celebration is short-lived when we find out the sad truth. That being that Cait Shelter isn't a real guild at all, and every member is nothing but a spirit created by the Guildmaster. He decided to create the spirits when Wendy was dropped off in an abandoned guild hall by Jellal, who told Wendy it was a guild when he was lying. The Guildmaster created all the spirits with their own unique personalities based on his old friends of an ancient civilization, also Wendy could have people to be loved by. The Guildmaster himself is also an apparition.
He is also an apparition, my goodness. So, we now see that people can just be created based upon other people, so why can't Wendy just learn that and summon 3 keys at once? If they're tangible enough that Wendy went through her whole life in this guild, presumably touched one person,
at least.
Oh, you're not tangible. What's going on here?
They had to be tangible because how
they
would she
have
eat?
to be tangible.
They had to give her food and stuff.
They have to
water and.
But we're not thinking about this because of the emotional moment. Hey, whatever. Hey, how? Are you so powerful that is it? I'm gonna place these people on autopilot, except for the people that interact with Wendy, and then I have to. It's not important.
In fact, he was the architect behind Nirvana. Originally, it was created to end wars and keep peace, so the people of the man's village built the city on top of it. Unfortunately, the magic dispense caused not only some people to become peaceful and stop wars, but it eventually made the peaceful people atop Nirvana become ravenous and bloodthirsty, to the point the old man stood as the sole survivor of his people and culture. Both in life and death, he guarded Nirvana, and just so happened to meet Wendy along the way, and with Nirvana destroyed, he and the other spirits could now rest in peace.
And now we are introduced with post-death magic.
Post-death magic. That he is an apparition that can create other apparitions that all have their own personalities based off of what he knew. And they all have to grow because Wendy's been there for a while. Yes. So, they've got to get a little older and such. And
his magic is such that it never runs out. It never needs to be replenished. Nothing like that. It is just a full-on simulation forever, seemingly. What was his plan?
What was the end goal?
To what end?
How long was he expected to do this? And what does she think a guild is? Because they would have had to get missions. They would have had to have been officially registered. Because they have to be officially registered Because they said they're sending somebody from that small
from the
guild.
Cait Shelter Guild. Another one of these, if you think about it at all, you go, wait a second.
One second. Whoa.
Wait 1 second. It would have been better if they went to that village and then they were talking to somebody and Urza's just scanning and she shakes her head because she can see it with the artificial thing. That would have been something, some kind of setup or anything, but it's just we never existed.
Or even she took the chief aside and was just like, what's going on here? And we just learned about it later.
Yeah, something, but it's just, these people never existed, and it was so convincing that all of these top wizards never, because they can feel magic as well. They just went, all of these people are imbued with the exact same amount of magic. They all feel the same.
And did they only ever see Wendy out for missions? Or did they send Wendy and others out for missions?
Wendy has an incredible sense of smell. Are you telling me he simulated smells as well?
Oh, yeah. And different smells.
Different smells for different people? Wendy was never hey, I never smell poop here. What's the dealio? And he's like, oh crap, now I gotta run the poop protocol.
You gotta update the firmware.
Yeah! Dude! You get this hand waving stuff. This is why people are like, yo, Fairy Tail's real bad. Because this is another Bleach thing, you don't need to think about this. But then once you ask one question, no, more and more questions. And it's just this makes no sense.
It's the most perfectly constructed Jenga of all time. But you even tap one piece and it's just the potential for the whole thing to come down. And you're just tap, hold on. Tap, 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 tap. Something's not right here.
This piece should be safe.
Tap, blue. Oh no.
Wendy is mortified by the information as she sees all the people she got to know in her life disappear, but the old guildmaster is able to comfort her by saying
that's gotta be horribly traumatizing.
Horribly. The many she's made on her adventure. Urza then steps forward and hugs Wendy because just like her, she knows what it's like to lose a loved one and encourages her and Carla to
yeah, because she's the only person that knows that feeling.
Hey, what about Natsu, who's literally searching for his dad?
What about Gray, who not but 3 arcs ago had to deal with his mentor and his mother and father and entire village dying? What about Wendy, whose mother died at a very young age?
Things happened in the same episode too, so my heart was just fucking obliterated with these 2 big scenes. Holy shit.
Okay, see?
So, yeah,
so he wasn't thinking. He was wrapped up in the moment.
Yeah.
He was feeling. And there's nothing wrong with feeling, but you can't say it's good.
And here's the thing. Once you feel, if you return to the thing, you no longer feel as much. So you should start thinking about the thing. That's why, people review it. It's just the quick feeling of how they work. Mm-hmm. But when they go back to it and think a little harder, they might go, hold on, that went up a little bit, or that went down a little bit, or greatly. But all y'all doing for Fairy Tail is, I feel.
These fights aren't really important because nothing really happens.
Emotional resonance wise.
What about the people that are who just go, I'm not really emotionally invested in Fairy Tail. I just like the cool action. You have to go, wow, that action's kind of poor, and that feeds into how good or bad Fairy Tail is. Because you're just ignoring them, and fights are a big part of Fairy Tail.
It's Fairy Tail and becomes part of the gang.
You did not say how Natsu beat the poison dude. He just did.
So yeah, Wendy joins Fairy Tail and becomes part of the gang just in time for the first filler that I don't want to talk about because it's trash. It's only 3 episodes, but I hate it, and I think it's so boring.
Daphne
so
was
I'm just
funny.
gonna move on to the great arc that happened
She had
after
a
this
good
mechanical
accent.
dragon bullshit was done and over with. Okay, good. One thing though, before this show reaches its next important arc, the audience is introduced to the objectively strongest wizard in Fairy Tail, Gildarts. For people who like to call Fairy Tail a One Piece knockoff, this is their fucking holy grail. These These two characters are incredibly strong, have
Pause.
slicked back...
Dude, look at them. Incredibly strong, slick back hair. They're both missing an arm. They're father figures / mentors to the main character.
The black overcoat, the red hair,
stubble. Like, what are we doing here? Gildarts saved him from a giant monster when he was younger. What? I'm sorry, but it's here. Make him black-haired or blonde hair, at least. Make him lose both legs and not an arm. But he loses an arm. Make him not a mentor figure.
Make his hair not slicked back. Make it more scraggly or something.
Make it an afro. Make it something.
Clean shaven.
But dude, come on. Now, this might not be all just synopsising, because we got the Edolas, we got the tournament, we got Tartarus, we got Avatar, and we got the end. That's 5 arcs. And they're not entirely
Grand Magic Games.
I said the tournament.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and they're not horribly meaty, so this might not be all
synopsis-y,
but it's at least going to be another hour 15 of it.
So yeah, the last hour we might get just like pure analysis
and here's how this character relates to this. I hope
Characters are incredibly strong, have slicked back hair with a very similar color, have missing limbs, and act as father figures to the main protagonists of their respective franchises. Hiro Mashima is a hack fraud who never should have been allowed to pick up a pen for his copy and paste bullshit, is the common argument you'll hear. And I do agree that the characters look pretty similar, but they also have completely different relationships with the main character throughout the story that sets them apart as characters.
Pause. They look similar, but what about the other 4 things that you said? Yeah, he loses an arm, but he also loses a leg, so that's out. Yeah, he saved him from a monster when he was young, but it was a land monster and not a sea monster, so that's out. Dude, you can't do this.
There are large similarities between the two. You could just say yes.
You could just like, yeah.
He feels like a real knockoff Shanks.
Yes.
He does things way differently than Shanks, but it is really just kind of a knockoff Shanks.
And then you just go, oh, here's Mashima in an interview going, yes, I really look up to Oda. And maybe he looked up to him a little bit too much and just sort of subconsciously implanted a Shanks in his story. I don't know, but whatever. This is kind of bad. Yeah, we understand that his personality and how they interact with the main character is different. Shanks has a total of maybe 50 panels on screen. So we don't really know how he interacts with Luffy. So that's not even really what we can say. But excuse all those other things
throughout the story that sets them apart as characters. Also, just to bring this up, Gildarts had more dirty blonde colored hair in the manga, and he also had a hairstyle that was sort of different. It was more the anime's interpretation that made him look more like Shanks. I'm not
that's the first time. You can't compare first time appearances, because people look really off in their first appearances.
Zoro had the wrong eye missing.
Especially since this is early in Fairy Tail, and Mashima hadn't gotten his drawing down pat completely, so it's still a little bit wonky.
And there aren't a lot of similarities, but it just seems like the anime tried to make it look even more similar. Regardless, as I was saying...
Did he save him from a monster when he was younger? And why would Mashima not go, oh no, he doesn't have red hair? Was he not overseeing this? Did he have no input in this? Did he not show him a character sheet like, okay, this is what this character looks and sounds like?
Shanks had sort of a brotherly / friendish relationship with Luffy, and Luffy's entire quest in One Piece is to become the Pirate King so he can fulfill his promise to Shanks and give him his hat back. Shanks does come into play in the story on special occasions, but when he does, it's never while Luffy can see, and happens few and far between as far as it goes. In a way, Shanks is a goal Luffy wants to strive for as a captain, one that he can only reach when he finishes his journey and gets the One Piece. Gildarts is much different. He shares more of a fatherly...
It's when you become a great pirate. He could technically find Shanks right up the street and be like, hey, I'm a great pirate now. Here's your hat back. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be One Piece. He's technically a Yonko. People consider him that. He has one of the highest bounties in the world. He is a great pirate.
He's about to get even higher.
He's enacted changes on very many islands. He is a great pirate. He does not need One Piece for this.
He now has a grand fleet.
He has many people under him. Come on now. What it's not once he gets One Piece. Thematically, narratively, perhaps, but just based off the words, nah.
Natsu, but in a much more active fashion. Unlike Shanks, Gildarts returns to the guild hall every month or so to hang out with the rest of the guild and catch up with people. He humors Natsu by getting into fights with him that Gildarts knows he'll win. They play catch together. They share a deep emotional connection.
They're different characters.
Yes.
Wow.
Different characters,
but they're also super similar.
Yes. You just looked over the fact that he's missing an arm as well. That cannot be ignored.
Sort of father and son duo, but as close friends who know each other really well. Gildarts is a
I'm sorry, what? Shanks acts like a big brother and friend to Luffy, whereas Gildarts acts like a father who's kind of a close friend too as well.
What's the problem? Those are two separate things. It's different.
Family and close friend.
Mm-hmm.
Family and close friend.
Totally different. You don't see the difference here?
Not really.
Oh, what? Really? Maybe you should do the hand thing again, because you clearly didn't get it. Pause.
Jesus
a fun
Christ.
guy with a loner personality, did you say? That sounds like Shank when he was just like, oh, good job, Luffy, but it ain't time for us to meet yet.
You really have become great, but it ain't time for you to return this.
Charming personality, not loner. Well, charming, absolutely. He got Mihawk to drink with him, and up until that point, Mihawk was a piece of. He was just like, Mihawk, hey, look at this poetry. Like, okay, now we can't let you leave without a mother-in party.
Let's go.
Shanks is absolutely charming.
Charming personality that shows his passion for the guild all the time while still being a bit of a loner with how often he goes on jobs alone. In his last bout with Danger, he took on a century quest and came back pretty tattered and beaten, having lost one of his arms and legs. He wanted Natsu to know it was from a dragon similar to Igneel called Acnologia, but that Natsu shouldn't look for him because he's more powerful than Natsu can imagine. The info is only conveyed in this episode, and Gildarts doesn't explain much else beyond that, but at this point, you should know your boy is ready to scarf down any hint of foreshadowing for future arcs. And speaking of which, the arc I'm about to get into, if you would just chill the fuck out.
Pause. Natsu, your friend and mentor figure, was brutally beaten and maimed by a dragon called Acnologia that is very similar to the person that you have been chasing for most of your life. Do not go after him.
Okay.
Do with what you will with this information, but just don't go after him.
If I didn't want you to go after him, I should have just not told you this information.
But I'm going to tell you this specifically so that you don't go after him, even though this is a living dragon in this world and a key to finding your father figure. But no, though.
Thanks.
But no.
Okay. We on for supper or what's up?
It's insanity. What was his plan?
Edolas last for this session because I'm getting hungry.
I was just about to say that. But who knows how long this will take.
So out of the main
them
cast
on the
of
farm will
characters,
take 30
including now,
years.
Who among them hasn't gotten the spotlight shown on them? That's right, Happy and Carla. From the beginning of this show, we've been getting subtle hints that Happy and Carla aren't exactly normal in this world. Like, for example, I'm sure if you've never noticed this, it's quite a subtle detail, but did you know these two characters are cats that talk and have weird colors attached to them and can fly as their only form of magic and came from eggs out of nowhere? Does that not at all seem a little suspicious? Apparently, Happy never thought about that when he first met Carla and realized there were other cats like him. Carla, up until before this upcoming arc, has just sort of been kind of snobby and distant from all the other characters besides Wendy, since she's Carla's only real friend. This is by choice, as Carla doesn't want to associate with the others as long as she has Wendy, but she always had a particular distaste for Happy. Granted, he's tried tried to hit on her and give gifts to her at every waking moment, but she mostly stays passive-aggressive until one instant where she blows up at him for no good reason beyond she can't tolerate someone who doesn't know who they are, implying she knows something about Happy even he doesn't. Wendy chases after Carla to see what's up with her, but at that exact moment, Mystigan arrives at the guild and recognizes Wendy. Yeah, remember when Wendy's backstory revealed she and Jellal used to be friends that traveled around together? Well, that was actually Mystigan, who looks exactly like Jellal because he has come from a parallel world of sorts, the same one Happy and Carla came from. The only reason he came back at this moment was so he could warn Wendy he quote-unquote wasn't able to stop it being the thing that made Mystigan abandon Wendy in the first place. Magical holes appearing across Fiore that suck magic from the world into this parallel one. Mystigan was trying to close them all on his journeys, but he was unable to close the one appearing right above Magnolia. At that moment, the city starts to disappear into the hole, leaving only Wendy, Natsu, Happy, and Carla behind.
Pause. So, again, he, at this exact moment,
perfect.
Almost as soon as the last mission was done, once Gildarts is gone and there is no other thing to be done, everybody is in the guild hall, nobody is on a mission. This thing happens for the first time in 7 years, right over the kingdom of Fiore.
It's pretty smooth.
Wendy, Natsu, Happy, and Carla behind. Gosh, Lucy also stay behind, but we don't learn about that till later. Shh. Obviously, Carla has some explaining to do since she knew this shit was going to happen but didn't try to stop it or even warn people, because she sucks and only really cares about protecting Wendy above all else. For starters, she and Happy aren't just regular cats, but mystical creatures from that previously mentioned parallel world called Edolas. The whole sucking magic from Fiore and the entire continent of Ishgard are called the Anima, and are taking magical beings / things because their world is running out of it as a limited resource. Happy and Carla were sent on some kind of mission imprinted in their heads at birth, but Happy doesn't remember it at all for some reason, making Carla resent him for it. They come to the conclusion they need to go after their friends, so Wendy and Natsu are carried at Mach speed into the Anima so they can cross over into Edolas. It's a nice world and all with floating islands and rivers, but the view isn't quite as nice when Carla and Happy lose their wings, causing them all to fall. What's just as bad is Natsu and Wendy can't use their magic either. During their search for answers and help, they find the Fairy Tale Guild Hall. The weird issue here being it is the Fairy Tale Guild Hall with all its regular members, but most of them act different to, or opposite to, how they used to act in Earthland, causing Carla to come to the conclusion this is the Edolas' version of the guild characters who grew.
This is so lazy. Because most of these characters have one established character trait, and it is just the opposite. You see, Elfman is not manly, you see. And that...
Kana is a proper lady.
You see that, who does not drink alcohol, when over there, she in fact did drink alcohol. And that's different. What would be an opposite Zorro?
I guess like... No, because he's kind of fun-loving. I was thinking just like a really goofy, like Luffy type. But he can get pretty goofy at times.
What? He was the one that was just like, if I'm going to be a candle, I'm going to be in a cool pose.
Aren't you mad that you're not in your pose? And it's like, oh, we're almost dead.
You want to do a pose, it's down to top.
Should have done a pose.
Because he doesn't have that one character trait that's just like, now we can... But all of these mother in Fairy Tale is just like, now they are the opposite. Oh my goodness. Natsu loves cars.
Because Natsu hates vehicles. Gray wears a lot of clothes and loves Juvia.
And Juvia doesn't like Gray. That's her personality. It's terrible.
This is the Edolas' version of the guild characters who grew up in the Edolas environment their entire lives. Her theory is only further strengthened when the guild's chased by the fairy hunter Ursa
Wait a second. The gun guy and the gun girl are all lovey-dovey, but then they become that... Wouldn't it be like they hated each other? and now and here they love each other? Wouldn't that, because...
No, I think the problem there is their personality trait, and this is all their personality ever was that they do love each other, or they are attracted to each other, but neither one has the courage to speak out, the confidence or whatever to ask the other one out. Whereas this one's just like, hey, love you, babe.
Okay,
hey, love you.
But once they do that, then they become lovey-dovey.
I don't think they become lovey-dovey.
They don't become all lovey-dovey. But in this one, what if were they born lovey-dovey? Or, because what are they apart from each other? What were they before they joined the guild?
What were the other ones on our side?
So it can't just be because one of them had to have the courage to go, hey, let's get together. So what were they before the let's have the courage? Don't press play.
My hand was slowly heading towards it.
They're strengthened when the guild's chased by the fairy hunter Urza Nightwalker, because they're considered a dark guild for using magic in Edolas' limited state. Other than not having Carla or Happy in this version of the guild, whom they seem to be afraid of, Edolas has one thing Urfland doesn't: Lizana. Lizana has always been a character Natsu cared deeply about in the story from a young age. They helped hatch Happy together, they built a small fort in the forest, and when she died, Natsu built a grave for her by her favorite place to see the sunset. So yeah, he's gonna be bawling when he sees her again for the first time. But that subplot isn't important right now. At the moment, Natsu and Ko need to get to the capital of Edolas to try and find everyone with Edolas Lucy's help. They reach their first check mark and are about to be taken when Earthland Lucy shows up and is able to use her magic. At first, I thought she was going to be an exception because she has a large magic capacity and her spirits come...
So, the spirits can also travel to entirely different realms.
I mean, don't they anyway?
But that doesn't make any sense.
I mean, don't
surely the contract with the Earth, does this have a different time than Spirit?
That's a good question.
I just don't see, because you would think that he'd be like, we are now entering a different realm. Spirit, Earth realm, Edolas, and there's a wall in between the Earth and the Edolas. So can they just without...
My hands going towards play.
Mentions, but nah, it's simpler than that. She didn't get sucked away because one of her spirits saved her, and she and Gagio can use their magic because Mystigan gave them some pills to help them out. Lucy joins the group on the adventure, and when they
pause. There's no magic here. Eat this. Now you have magic.
You have magic.
Are there any side effects? Was this difficult to obtain?
Did you create this? Why don't you have more of this?
Why did you go, Wendy, I couldn't stop the thing. Here, you and Carla eat this thing. You're probably going to get sucked up. You know what? Take the whole thing.
I got so much.
And you're probably going to meet the fairy tale people before I do, so you just take it and give it to them.
Capital city, they see it's doing fine with plenty of magic lacrimas and toys, meaning the king has been hoarding it in this city for the upper class. He does want all of Edolas to have magic, so that's why he stole Magnolia and turned it into a giant lacrima that could power the city for a decade. But being a power-hungry king, that isn't enough. Natsu almost freaks out once the king strikes a lacrima containing their friends that breaks a piece off of it, but Lucy holds him back so they can plan a way to get them back. Edolas Lucy has abandoned them at this point, but the night comes where the gang wants to break into the castle to learn the king's plans, and Carla remembers having access to the king's underground tunnel, and draws a map of it for reference. They break through all the barriers necessary until they find themselves captured by the royal army that was waiting for them the entire time. What's even more shocking is when the guards all bow down to Happy and Carla for quote-unquote completing their mission, as the great Exceeds are expected of doing. Carla's especially shocked about this because she thought she'd abandoned whatever mission she had, so learning this incident was just part of the mission burnt into her memory makes her question if she even has free will. Her being the reason behind Wendy and the others being captured doesn't help either. Next thing the gang knows, Happy and Carla are woken up in a palace.
He said that this was for people that watched and read and know a fairy tale. Why?
being heralded as heroes, Natsu and Windy are being drained of their magic power for being dragon slayers, Gajiel's about to enact a plan to save the others with a version of himself in Edolas, and Lucy's gonna be executed. Starting with Carla and Happy's perspective, the first thing we hear about their whereabouts is from this Ichia cat, fittingly named Nichia, who's the head of the Exceed Royal Guard, and explains they're in Extalia, a floating island above the clouds where the worshipped Exceed race live. According to Nichia and this guy named Nadi, the Exceeds have always been superior to humans because they're the only beings in Edolas that are born with magic power and can use it on demand, whereas it's used like a resource for items otherwise. Above them all stands the Queen, who is seen as a goddess that can decide who lives and dies on command. While Nietzsche's explaining this, Carla tries to tell him that she failed her mission and had gone astray from it. So Nietzsche confirms her fears of losing control by saying he and the Queen were giving subtle messages for her to understand, and that she was basically their puppet from the beginning.
Would be so unbearable if it was not for that Ichia cat.
At this realization, Happy starts
laughing.
Carla at the idea,
that was
but Happy isn't having any of this shit and tells him off. Of the moments in this arc, I find this one of the most powerful for pretty obvious reasons. We've known Happy for the entire show as this, well, happy-go-lucky mascot-type character who's always cracking sarcastic remarks and smiling, but in this scene he just fucking goes off on these guys for claiming the relationships they had were false, and that their lives were made for them. This one image I'd say is on a similar level to the moment during the USJ arc of MHA when All Might shows up and he isn't smiling. The fact Hero would give some pretty great character development to what seems like the simplest of...
Yeah, he's not smiling, and then what does he do? He wrecks shop. He does something. He doesn't just tell them off and then continue to be passive for the next 300 episodes, as Happy does.
That's pretty might.
It's not comparable whatsoever, other than the fact of this happy-go-lucky smiling person is no longer smiling and they are serious.
Hey, serious mode.
It is not the same.
Has always been one of the things I love about his writing. This is also the moment where Carla calls Happy by his name.
I'm sorry, what about Hero's writing did you love?
In fact, Hero would give some pretty great character development to what seems like the simplest of characters. Has always been one of the things I love about his writing.
What are the gun dude and gun girl doing?
They're doing enough, all right? They're doing the best they can. By gum.
It's also the moment where Carla calls Happy by his name.
Oh, they gave a ship development.
To the point people cried over it.
That ship had maybe a paragraph of lines. And that was it. And he killed it. Because they cared about the ship. And we, as the audience, cares about the ship. I'm not saying we live on the ship or we feel like we live on the ship. No, I like the Mary. I know Usopp cares about this Mary, and I care about Usopp. I know what it means to him.
Also the
and they did all that stuff like this is the ship that went into the motherfucking sky.
Of course it's going to keep selling. You talking about? You weren't on this ship. You don't know what's up. This flew.
Been one of the things I love about his writing. This is also the moment where Carla calls Happy by his name rather than just Tomcat, so it shows development for her as well. They escape from the Royal Guard, being now known as Fallens, or Fallen Angels who've lost their divinity. To stay hidden from the Guard, they meet an old married couple who themselves had their...
This was so mercifully short in the manga.
I wish.
But in the anime, they just went, hey,
an
here's an entire episode dedicated
and
to this
a
plot.
half. Dude. I'm gonna skip this stuff, but I am just like, what could be here that just like, oh my goodness, this is gonna be of worth 2 arcs later. This is nothing. This is development for Happy, and I don't care about Happy, and I don't like Happy, so why am I sitting here and watching it? But I stuck through it, and I wish I didn't.
Mercifully from the manga.
From from the guard, they meet an old married couple who themselves had their child taken from them when 100 Exceed eggs were sent to Earthland, and were banned from the city when they tried to speak up about it. During their time there, Happy is able to convince Carla that she has control over her own emotions, and that they aren't just puppets, but fairy tale wizards ready to help their guild. After grasping that, they're able to use their wings again. They couldn't before because once they arrived in Edolas, their homeland they'd never seen, they felt alienated and didn't know who they were at that point. These two are also Happy's parents, but they don't tell him since it isn't the right time or place. Carla and Happy save Lucy right before she's executed and go off.
Was that supposed to be any level of a surprise, as the mom is a shade of blue cat that is the exact same shade as Happy?
Maybe.
I can't imagine. Except for in the manga. But here it's just like, well...
Do they ever tell him?
I don't think so.
So when's the right time?
I couldn't care less though, so...
When's the right time?
They all... Are you asking me, the Happy fan of the world? When's the right time? Because I don't have an answer for you. I apologize, but that's just not my wheelhouse.
But you're the Happy fan of the world.
Yeah, but it's not Edolas. I have standards.
Before she's executed and go off to save Natsu and Wendy. As this is happening, the paranoid king has decided to execute plan Exceed Total Destruction. First by turning the Exceed guards into a giant lacrima, and then planning to crash the giant lacrima containing most of Fairy Tale into Extalia, making it so magic rains down from the sky and becomes accessible to everyone in the kingdom. That small crystal we saw before only contained Urza and Grey, who Gildarts is able to free with his Dragon Slayer magic, and gives them the ability to use magic by feeding them those same pills he got from Mystigan called X-Balls.
So many
it
pills.
comes in handy when Carla, Happy, and Lucy are about to be captured by Urza Nightwalker, because at that moment Earthland Urza and Grey burst in to fuck some shit up. Urza takes on herself, while the others go and look for a way to stop the king from using a cannon with a hook that had chained to the crystal and smashed like a wrecking ball into Extalia. Coco, the king's errand girl, takes the key from him once she realizes her friend and soldier Panther Lily is fighting Gildarts on the island holding the lacrima, and a blast from the cannon would probably kill him. Other fun fights take place, ending with Lucy being seen as a hero by Coco for beating the king's right hand by Ro.
Pause. The pose is Lucy doing this. She's just like, relax, I got this. And I love that line. She was just given that magical whip for nothing. Virgo shows up and goes, here is a magical whip from the spirit world. It is very powerful. And here you go.
Now you can fight alongside your spirits. And that's a thing.
That is very poignant, and she earned that
through her hard work and
is very good
growth and development. She trained,
very good.
And she unlocked this ability through all her hard work of just looking to the left and going, here you go.
Kill him. Other fun fights take place, ending with Lucy being seen as a hero by Coco for beating the king's right hand by Ro, Grey shattering the key but being able to make an ice replica when he wants, and Wendy and Carla going to Extalia to warn the citizens.
Pause.
Do y'all know how keys work?
I don't think they care. So that's just like, whatever, doesn't matter. Here it is. Oh, it's broken? Well, that's fine.
One issue
no stakes
with that plan. For their entire lives, the Exceeds have been told they're more powerful than any human, and that the queen could destroy an entire village if she accidentally sent a paper football in the wrong direction. So Wendy and Carla's warnings are trashed as lies, and they get pelted with rocks until the long cat tries to get the crowd to stop. After the cannon is fired and the lacrima starts heading towards Extalia, the queen comes out and shoots down their praises by saying she, nor any of the other Exceeds, have excessive power. She doesn't even have 2 wings, and can only predict human deaths with her clairvoyance, leading to them thinking she could command a human to die at a given point. The purpose behind her and her council's lies was because the Exceed have always been frail and easily picked on, so the one way to help them survive was to lie about having magical superpowers. With this knowledge having come to light,
the music just going, and it's just all the camera angles and cinematography, and it's just, who could possibly care about this queen that we have seen once
being a douche
with these magical cats who we have no reason to care about,
who have been actively pelting our heroes with rocks,
antagonistic, and now it's just like, feel bad for this cat and these cats because sometime in the past they were seen as less than humans. You may now feel bad for them.
You have my permission to cry.
Queen begs Carla to strike her down and live on by making the other Exceeds leave. Unfortunately, they all want to stay with the Queen and just accept their fate, so they stay to be by her side. In a moment of defiance, Carla gives a speech about how stupid she and the others are being by giving up so easily, instead of trying to do something about the impending meteor possibly destroying Extalia, asking why it is they feel like some goddess is needed to do anything. Then she goes off on her own to try and push the meteor back herself. Luckily for her, the fairy tale gang hitched a ride on Coco's flying beast and helped push as well, along with Gildarts and Pantherlily. Remember when I said he and Gildarts
Well, I guess the
were
Urza fight is just done,
well,
where she unleashes her most powerful armor.
So far. You're still shaking your head.
a bond during their fight, and after Gajil won, Pantherlily agreed to join Fairy Tail as Gajil's cat so he could have one just like Natsu and Wendy. Pantherlily also never really wanted his homeland destroyed. He just felt anger at them for being exiled himself, and what was his crime? Saving a lost boy out in the desert from starving, because Exceeds aren't supposed to help humans. Pantherlily does get to make up with the Queen when she and all the other Exceeds, moved by Carla's speech, go out to protect their home and show they can actually be strong when they fight together. Speaking of that lost boy, he comes into the picture soon, revealing himself to be Mystigan, or as he's known in Edolas, Prince Jellal, the missing heir to the Edolas throne. And suddenly, everything is connected.
You're so bad. You hate Jellal so much.
I forgot about that.
Oh my God, you hate Jellal.
It is never ending. The Jellal show. Just like this dude, you don't understand that he is the greatest human being of all time. He can do no wrong. He is placed exactly where and when he needs to. This Cadillac of a man.
Dang, what do I need here? Jellal.
Jellal.
How do I tie all these people in to all these people when they're so vastly different? What's the B that connects A to... No, it's a J. Jellal. Missed again. Again.
It is omnipresent. I cannot... Oh my goodness. I thought these feelings were gone, but just all this stuff of just like Jellal. And it'd be fine if he was just like some B-level bum. But he's also one of the strongest on two different worlds. Not just Jellal being the most powerful, but Mystigan being Jellal is one of the most powerful. And he's a prince. And he's self-sacrificing in two different worlds. Even when he loses his memory, he's like, I'm still the best mother, and I'm going to sacrifice myself. Here he's just like, I'm also going to sacrifice myself because I'm the best mother. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh. This is, oh.
You hate Jellal.
Wow.
So much.
Wow.
It's like,
man, this push.
It's like you break up with somebody, you're like, I'm over them. Then you see them with someone else, you're like, dang, all them feelings. Dang, man.
Everything has connected itself in that little pocket. Jellal of Edolas was a runaway prince who ended up in Earthland to try and stop his father's plan to take the magic from it, and he met Wendy along the way. He would have kept adventuring with her, but his duty kept him bound, and he didn't want her getting in harm's way. The real reason Earthland Jellal didn't know Wendy was because he really didn't ever meet her, rather than the cause simply being his memory loss. It all makes so much sense when put together. It also explains Mystigan's magic.
Why does Jellal seem to be so much older than Wendy?
Yeah, time works works differently.
Type involving items. He uses staffs and weapons like that because his body doesn't channel magic energy on its own. Once the others are able to push the Lacrima back from Extalia, Mystigan makes sure to be able to enact the spell he's been working on to send everyone back through the anima. Lily and Jellal's reunion is kind of cut short though by Nightwalker, who's brought an entire battalion to deal with the Exceeds and humans, and to make matters worse, the king used all the magic he got from Wendy and Natsu to power a mechanical dragon to fight them in. So now Wendy, Gajiel, and Natsu have to take care of that as well. It all seems lost on the
Are you not Dragon Slayers?
Edolas Lucy shows back up with all of Edolas' fairy tale. The reason she'd left before was originally just to bail from the plan, but she got inspired by Lucy and Natsu's words to fight back, so she brought some friends to help with it. Checking back on the King versus Dragon Slayers fight, it gives a good amalgamation of how some characters have fought in the past arc or two. I'm mostly just referring to Wendy.
Oh, Jesus! You're so bad! Oh, get out of here. Oh.
He was just gray in 18 sweaters. Man, I see why people don't like IPA. This is just like, this is his own little thing that connects to nothing. Like, these Edolas bums don't matter, except for the fact that Cruz was just like, hey, Bane, they come back. All the Edolas people, they come back in the 100-year quest. I'm like, no.
Are you serious? For what purpose?
For what? I'm like, I can't read that. I can't.
From the plan, but she got inspired by Lucy and Natsu's words to fight back, so she brought some friends to help with it. Checking back on the King versus Dragon Slayers fight, it gives a good amalgamation of how some characters have grown in the past arc or two. I'm mostly just referring to Wendy because she's gone from shy and always hiding to actively participating in the battle and helping the others confidently. Gajiel also shows a...
So she changed her entire personality within the span of one arc that she was not even the focal point of. You are calling this a point of praise when nothing has changed to facilitate this?
That's pretty facilitated.
Development with how he's able to work with the others much better. They finish him off in the end, but an even bigger battle is going on in the skies above between Nightwalker and Urza. This battle represents more than just winning or losing a fight. It's a battle of ideologies. One believes
look at that. That's her strongest fairy armor.
While the other thinks people are more genuine than that and can survive without it. Ultimately, the fight ends in a draw, but Nightwalker lets Urza claim the victory, submitting to Urza's point of view that Edolas will live on without magic just as they are. By the time most of the fighting is done, Jellal...
Pause. I am going to talk about Urza for a second. Urza is another problem because...
Oh, no, not a problem. I thought you were going for praise.
No, I'm going to subvert your expectations. Sorry.
Dang, this is brilliant now. Before I even heard the point itself, it's just brilliance.
Again, like I said, she has 30 different armors. She has an armor of ultimate defense. She has an armor of ultimate offense. She has armors that can shoot laser beams. She has armors that her wings are swords that she can control just completely outright. She has water armor. She has armor that nullifies fire. At any point in time, she can just pull out an armor that fixes an issue, and it's not interesting because she does constantly. How is it interesting to just have a limitless number of powers that are not known to the audience until the second that she showcases it? Oh no, Fairy Tail is about to get blasted by a giant guild-destroying laser. Well, luckily I have an armor to defend against that. Yes, of course you do. If you did not, what were the options to defeat that? There were none.
She's basically a walking Deus Ex.
Basically.
It's just like, well, here's the armor I need.
Ajil at the sand dude was just like, anything that touches me becomes sand and crumbles. Well, this sword is water, so it can slice you. Where did you... Now you just got a water sword. You don't have to think about anything. You just have to showcase an ability. How is this interesting? That's why I say Urza with a sword in her hand is the worst character in fairy tale.
I believe your words were Snoozeville.
I agree with past me. No, that's agreeable.
His main plan to Panther Lily. Jellal actually created a way to use a reverse anima that sends all magic in Edolas over to Earthland, leaving it deprived of any. With the people in disarray over their loss of magic appliances and such, someone will need to serve as a villain who took the magic and be beaten by a hero, reuniting Edolas under strong leadership. Jellal originally planned to use himself as the sacrificial lamb of sorts, but that long...
I'm gonna be the biggest villain by being the biggest hero.
And you know what? This is very funny because I love Nagato and Danganronpa 2 for doing exactly that. But I hate Jellal. But I think it's because I truly believe that he wanted that hope. Whereas Jellal is just like, I'm the sad boy that's going to...
I'm the tragic hero that needs to be sacrificed for the greater good. And I will not be celebrated other than you will be celebrated as the person that killed me when I saved everyone and everything, and I will die a villain and I will be forgotten by the history books.
Nagito is not the hero. He knows he's not the hero. But hope! Hope though! Please hope!
Y'all can do it because there's hope.
Cat Guy heard everything and told Natsu, who has other plans for how this will go down. Wendy, Gajul, and Natsu play the part of demons to scare the townspeople into thinking they took the magic and brought the helpless king up. At a glance, it might seem odd to make the king seem innocent, but you have to remember that everyone in Edolas believes the king is just a man who wants nothing more than to please his people, so knowing him as a tyrant with a dragon mech suit would only cause more discourse and outrage among the people. Jellal tries to stop it at first and offer himself as a sacrifice, but Natsu knows it's too late and challenges him to a good old fistfight. This method is perfect because it shows someone can prevail without the use of magical weapons. That's when Natsu gives Jellal the fairy tale farewell ceremony. Don't divulge secrets about the guild. Don't contact any client you've worked with previously, and though our paths might stray, always live your life to the fullest. Never question your worth, and don't forget the friends you made along the way. After that, Natsu falls, while Jellal is able to stand and unite the kingdom as the new ruler. Just one of the really few instances where a member of the family needs to leave. It can make you tear out just a bit. With that settled, all of the fairy tale wizards who've got magic flowing through their body fly up with the anima and leave Edolas for one last time. It's too bad we'll never get to see this interesting world again, but the journey we took along the way was worth it all the time. The guild members come back to Earth and bring the Exceeds along with them, and we finally get an explanation for Carla's imprinted message. To put it simply, there never was one. The queen foresaw Extalia falling with her clairvoyance and only sent the eggs off to protect the next generation. Everything said about the Dragon Slayers was completely made up, and the reason Carla had these thoughts is because she also had clairvoyance. But when she was first born, she didn't know how to process it, so she assumed it was some kind of mission she needed to follow. So why is it that Carla has clairvoyance when all the others don't? Okay, look at Queen Shagat. Now look at Carla. Shagat, Carla, Shagat, Carla. Look at yourself. Look in the mirror. Do you see tears? Well, that's not really important right now. Shagat hugs Carla and cries about how great it is they can see each other now.
So clairvoyance is passed through genetics?
I mean, it seems like summoning is.
What is it? Just because the queen that she has clairvoyance, or is she the queen because she has clairvoyance? Does no other Exceed have a power or a special ability?
That's a good question. What's Happy's?
Whatever. It can't be transformation because Carla can do that as well, and a bunch of Exceeds can just gain wings. So that's a common thing amongst the cats.
Carla and cry.
So is it just
about how great it is they can see each other now? Yeah, they're related. Yeah, that's the twist. They're related. Just making that really
twist
case. She doesn't tell Carla, but you can tell by the hug she can probably catch on. Lily's also back in a smaller, cute cat form, and he found a suspicious person, none other than who was thought to be the Edolas version of Lizana. At first, everyone thinks she's Edolas' Lizana, but she explains she's the Earthland version. Back all that time ago when she got hit by Elfman, a small anima opened above her and sucked her into Edolas. Apparently, the Edolas version of Lizana had died, so when she returned, the others thought it was a miracle, and Lizana just ran with it for 2 whole years.
Pause. No. She died the exact same time as this Lizana was attacked. And then she was teleported over to the other world for some reason. And she just went along with it.
For back now, Elfman and Mira are pretty surprised, but in a good way. With that, the Edolas arc comes to a close. I've always thought of this arc as my personal favorite, because it feels the most...
You did not even question why was Lizana taken.
Why would I?
As Elfman is just standing there. Why was it never like, hey, where is Lizana? Natsu goes, hey, where's Lizana? What happened? And Elfman just goes, oh, she's dead. Not, well, I attacked her by mistake, and then she turned into light and flew into the sky.
Which always happens.
There are two empty Lizana graves in Fairy Tale, in the Earthland. Because she flew away for some reason at that exact point when she was attacked. Not before she got attacked. She got attacked. She is presumed dead or dying. But then she goes to Edolas and she's able to walk around and just go, oh, there's Fairy Tale. And you just one sentence that, like, oh yeah, this emotional moment. I don't care about Elfman. So it means nothing to me. He's not my family.
How could you not care about Elfman? Look at all his great traits.
It's my personal favorite because it feels the most well planned. From Mystigan's conception, he was a mysterious guy that...
Hey, Michigan's mysterious.
He's mysterious.
Let's wrap it up here. Oh, the cats too? Let's wrap it up here.
Who was incredibly strong. The reveal of him looking exactly like Jellal was confusing at the time, but makes plenty of sense as of this arc. Wendy's memory of Jellal was thought...
Pause. Why do people look the exact same between worlds? Where was Wendy's Edolas? Oh, they did have an Edolas version of Wendy. Why do people look the exact same?
Or she looked older.
You would think, because why is his personality the same as Jellal's? He's just a self-sacrificing. Because once Jellal just like, I got my memories back and I performed crime sorcier. He's just like I'm a pittance. I must atone and everything. He's a sad boy. He's the exact same. Why?
Sad boy hours.
Sad boy time. Why is he the exact same?
That's no matter what who Jellal always is. The self-sacrificing hero that does not need any credit.
Okay, but one of them can't be that. By the rules of Edolas. It has to be the opposite.
But no, that's not his defining trait. That's just who he is deep down as a person.
Okay, so what's the difference between Mystigan and Jellal that is the opposite?
One is more outlandish.
Examples?
To have been cleared up while losing his memory, but it was really Mystigan the whole time. Happy and Carla's true origin were always a mystery. Even within the arc, some of the plot twists in here are just top keck in quality, from why Carla specifically had the idea there was a mission, to Jellal being the lost prince, to Lizana being from Earth. It all fits together perfectly in a way that shows way more mystery and suspense than most other arcs in the series. Carla...
Okay. Lizana we think is dead. Well, this is this Earth's Lizana now. Oh wait, no, it's ours. So there was no mystery there. It wasn't like we knew she flew away in a ball of light. It was just like we thought she was dead. Oh wait, no, she wasn't. And here's how she wasn't dead. And she randomly gets sucked in at the exact same time this Lizana dies, and everyone's just clapping.
It's not like she was in the guild and just disappeared and we have to figure out what happened to her. She was presumed dead. We were told that she was dead. So there's no reason why we should think that anything else than that happens. So when we go to Edolas, it's just like, oh, this Lizana's just alive. There is no mystery there. They created a mystery after they solved the mystery.
They had the... X plus 7 equals 13. Solve for X. The answer's there. 13 there. Solution to problem there. We need to figure out the problem, though.
Man.
most other arcs in the series. Carla and Happy's relationship in this arc being strengthened was also good to see, and the arc in general was a good way for the characters to grow substantially. The entire world of Edolas was really well thought out, and in many ways as much...
It's so lazy!
It don't got magic.
It don't got magic, and everyone's the complete opposite of what they are on your Earth. Let's go!
Oh, look, there's floating islands. Why?
It's not held up by magic.
more expensive than that of Earthland despite only being in one arc. Fairy Tail isn't really as much about the places as the strange and wacky characters met in those places, but still, I wasn't expecting a full government with histories and false gods and shit. This arc also has one of the best opening themes in the series called the Rock City Boy. It doesn't affect the—
Shut the f up! No! No!
Oh no. Oh no, I wish you would
Not
have said
another
that.
one of these in Rock City bums!
He took the hand.
No! I'm not standing for this!
You punched me.
I'm not doing this! No! No! This is the first time that you mentioned the openings. You skipped and merry-go-round for this? Rock City Boys? Honestly, what? No! No! Come on now! We're not doing this!
No.
I'm not gonna sit here and watch somebody praise Rock City Boys! After an hour of nothing, you bring up Rock City Boys! Merry-Go-Round is one of the best pieces of music in this world! You talk about Rock City Boys?
That's what it is.
Come on!
Put your headphones on so you can hear that sentence again. Gotta go back a little.
false gods and shit. This arc also has one of the best opening themes in the series called the Rock City Boy. It doesn't affect the story or anything, I just really like that opening. Another small thing I want to mention before moving on is that Gajeel got some truly precious moments in this arc near the end with Panther Lily. Considering Gajeel's regular personality, this is just so wholesome. Alright, next arc.
Boy, that was not a good way to end that one.
Man!
Rock City Boy. B-O-Y.
Unbelievable!
Is it though?
In the Rock? What is wrong with people?
Oh, he's so mad.
What does Rock City Boys do to people? How?
Kelly
How you
loved it.
praising
I
this?
don't know what she sees in it. Those bums.
Man,
rapping it.
I can't take this. Rock City Boys is terrible. It's horrible.
That beat is awful, dude.
You legit skip over merry-go-round. I cannot believe this. You don't skip over. I'm just like, all right, no merry-go-round. That's
No
fine,
music
whatever.
then.
No music. He's not talking about music, or there'll be a music section. But you hit me with Rock City Boys. You just lost a point. Easy.
But he was already at a 10 when he made.
Yeah. He was.
So, yeah.
Man.
I guess we're out of here for now.
3.5 hours.
Let you calm down for the next time.
Come on. No.
Yeah, I think it's good we stop there because it'll give you time to reset. Otherwise,
I
you
need to reset.
You just be mad for the next 30 minutes.
I just be quiet because I get angry and then I gotta come back up. So I just be like, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's just like what happened with the GT thing. I was just quiet for like 20 minutes. Dang. I can't believe this. Legit. There's nothing that would tell me that this dude would just break out Rock City Boys like that. Because as soon as he went, oh, this is one of the best openings. I'm like, what opening is that? I don't recognize the visual Rock City Boy. Mother.
Now, I'm a man that says that Fairy Tail has maybe 4 good openings. Rock City Boy is legit one of the worst things I've ever heard.
It's terrible.
As far as the opening goes.
That beat is terrible. That rap is terrible. Duh.
I gotta assume people are memeing that's because in a so bad it's good kind of
I
way.
hope, but Kelly's not one of them people.
She is not.
She's too earnest for that. She got no troll in her heart. She got no eye. She's just like, this is great and I love it and it's great and it's fantastic and I love it. I'm like, I can't do nothing against that. That's Kelly. You rock it. You got nothing but love in your heart. But Eric and Corey, well, they're both bums. So what am I? Corey is the wild card. I can't.
Corey has the greatest opinions and the worst
That
opinions.
mug was just like, I put peanut butter in my Fruity Pebbles. I'm like, Corey.
You pregnant lady.
This is going past the meme. We can't keep doing this, Corey. You need some stability in your life. You can't be putting peanut butter in Fruity Pebbles.
That's pretty stable.
Oh, hot now.
Yeah, I'm starving, so we're out of here.
Dang.